So the salads made almost all of our money from licensing songs to movies,
Beer
commercials.
commercials?
Beer
Forget
commercials.
Loose?
See, you remember that one because that was a huge one. That was Labatt's Blue. They did a 12-month campaign with us where they
12
only used Get
months.
Loose for everything with
There's
an
some
option to sign
reoccurring
on.
royalties in there somewhere.
Yeah, for an option to sign on. Well, they paid us out like a flat fee. And it was a really good flat fee. It was a lot of money. And we did a lot of that. We recorded a song called Lucky Day, which never came out on a record, but we licensed it all over the place. GM bought it. And a lot of major films, stuff like that. But I just got distracted by someone needing my studio. But we had, so the Canadian music business now, trying to do that stuff now is really, really hard. It's much harder. So back when I was doing it, when I was doing that and making all this money, I kept getting called a sellout. So I would go to 102 Edge and do an interview, and Todd would go, "You're a sellout," like right on the radio, right? Like, because you sold your song to Labatt's Blue, you sold your song
because you
to
make
GM.
money doing your craft.
Yeah, because and even at shows, I remember major radio DJs walking by or other bands and going, "Ha, you guys are sellouts," right? Like, and I was always like, what did you want to do when you were a little kid, right? And what are you doing now, right? And it was never what they're doing now. Well, guess what? I'm doing what I wanted to do when I was a little kid, and this is how I pay for it. So I'm not a sellout. You're a sellout. But all of that has changed so much. And so before there was a ton of opportunity. And so I was going out and selling songs to TV and commercials and making money for the band that way. And it's how I bought my first house. It's how I bought my first car. It's how I was able to start and have a family and be a musician. So I don't know if that's called selling out. But now
it's getting paid for your craft. It's getting paid
weird,
for
right?
Your hard work and your talent. It's you delivering a product or a service that people appreciate.
Yeah. Everybody
it's crazy how
that
in music it's being a sellout, and every other industry it's being successful.
It's because crazy. Of where we were in music though too, right? It was rock and roll and it was all anti-establishment, and you had
damn Neil Young turning down everything.
Neil Young and what Neil Young was promoting, what Kurt Cobain was promoting, and Henry Rollins, but Henry Rollins got into movies. Like, give me a break. It's so we were given a very hard time, but as time went on, everybody caught on. So when everybody stopped buying records, which was around 2003, was when it really halted.
The start of iTunes and the iPod.
Well, it wasn't even, that was like Napster time, right? And then it moved into.
When did you say 2003? So I guess 2004 is iTunes.
Yeah, it was just right after. Well, it was right around that
Napster.
Time, because I remember our record coming out, and then we're pushing it into digital after, right? So it was I keep getting lost because there's so much, but the music business has changed so much that now the competition for those ad placements, everybody wants them. So everybody that called us a sellout, every band that called us a sellout, they're all doing it now. And so what has happened is a lot of rock bands actually became jingle houses. A lot of rock producers became jingle writers. And in turn, my experience has been that the money got less because there's so much more product out there. Like people flooded it. And it just got harder to make money doing it that way. And what I've learned over the years is the only real way to make money, other than licensing and doing that stuff, and having a top 10 hit, because if you have a top 10 hit, you can make some money, is to get your live show together and play live. Is really the only way. And I know the Bare Naked Ladies have realized that. They originally made all of their money selling records.
Then they went independent, right?
And well, they've always been, because it was Steven's dad was the distribution company, right? So Gordon, that they sold millions of copies. I think I've heard a story where they were getting $7 a record, right off the top, right? And
normally you get like $1 or less, no?
Less, because you're recouping it first, and then you might get paid after that. But they, from the very first record sold, Dad was in on it. $7 in the bank every time. So you can imagine how that added up. But now those guys, I've heard it from Robin, who's been with them since they were teenagers. He's their front of house and tour manager, and that they understand that too, that the entire income in the music business is now based in live performance, right? So if you can get your live show together, then you're going to still be okay.
And I think that's why the last almost 2 years of the pandemic has been so hard on all the musicians, the professional musicians I know, because the bread and butter is the live show now, and there's been no live show for 2 years. Like
it's crazy,
it's literally
dude.
catastrophic. Like
it's not just the musicians, it's more like the all the stage production people and all the LDs out there, all the front of house guys,
the whole industry, I guess.
Yeah. And the craziest thing that I thought happened at the start of the pandemic, when all of this happened and all of a sudden an entire industry shut down. And I voted for Trudeau, but he came on the television and he told people to just go retrain, go find a new career. All right. And I'm thinking, I have roadies that are in their 60s. I have guys that like the first generation guys are still here and they're all in their 70s now. And now they're losing everything. They're like rapidly. And really go retrain, right? Like, yeah. It was a crazy idea. And I could tell you, moving into real estate halfway through halfway through that, like right at the halfway mark, right when everything was going
at the all-time highs in real estate,
at the all-time highs, and to enter an industry that was thriving, where everybody was becoming millionaires very quickly, and to exit an industry where everybody was losing everything very quickly, gave me quite a perspective. Whereas when I got my first paycheck from real estate, after working my ass off, after feeling, I'll just be dead honest, after feeling suicidal because of where my life had gone, right? I felt like walking off my dock into the lake. It was pretty sad. I knew I had to rearrange and figure out what was going on. And I knew everybody else was feeling this too. But jumping into real estate, I realized that I'm part of this wonderful brokerage in Prince Edward County. There's about 25 of us in the office that all share this Facebook Messenger group where we share ideas and talk. But it became very obvious to me very fast that there are entire industries, huge portions of the population that were completely clueless to what happened to the rest of us. And we're thriving, buying real estate, going crazy. I was watching realtors playing games, like brokerages playing bidding war games against each other for properties, because they had made so much money that all these realtors had so much money all of a sudden that they could all go in. Okay, I'm bidding against you on this property. Maybe you'll get it. Maybe I'll get it. High five. And at the same time, so many people were like, why are you giving people CERB? Yeah. Right? Like, just get them to go get a job. Look at me making all this. But it's like, oh my God. And so the very first time I made money doing real estate, I bawled. I cried. I lost my mind because it was like my first paycheck in a year and a half, right? Like my first real paycheck. I pulled over and this group of 25 people, I sent them a long message and told them my whole story. Because I was like, I need to change these people. They need some perspective. They need to, not all of them, but there were a few people in there that were giving me a very hard time about being a musician. Right. Well, no wonder. Look what you chose. And, you know, that kind of crap.
A little bit of empathy, people, you know?
Yeah. But it's like I made some money and was able to say, this is my first paycheck in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And the music business died. Like everything I'd worked for 30 years went away. And I'm very emotional today. And I hope you guys get some perspective from me having to pull over and sob. Right? Because anyhow, it's been a crazy time, right? So yeah, the music business has definitely changed and it's hard to know what's going to happen now. I've had a lot of like I said, I work in backline, so I work with some of the greatest musicians in the country, like hands down, no doubt about it. And I'm not going to mention names because I've been told to not ever say it out loud, and I've had people whisper things to me because they say I don't want the music gods to hear. But what they're talking about is I don't think I'm going to come back. I don't think I want to play live anymore. I have a new perspective. I understand what people actually thought of me, and I understand that there's actually easier money to be made. I want to be with my family, like all these weird things. And so it's hard to, like, for me, I say it's weird because they're the greatest. And there are people that were on autopilot since they were teenagers and touring around the world. And now they're like, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. And so when we come back to whenever it's like full on, whenever that happens, it's going to be a whole new world as well. There's going to be so many people missing from it, people that couldn't afford to go on, you know. I was getting, for a lot of my backline stuff, I was still getting paid for canceled shows in the first year. Now I'm not, because they can't afford to do it anymore, right? So if a show gets canceled, I don't get paid. So as I see this stuff coming up, and I know that I'll be able to reimburse myself for Christmas presents, all of a sudden I'm like, uh-oh, no, I can't. I just have a Visa bill, right? So I got to go sell some houses. But other musicians can't do that. Like, they didn't go and retrain like Trudeau asked them to. But
I think a big difference between the music industry and real estate is that success in the music industry doesn't necessarily mean you're doing well financially, versus success in real estate is you're getting paid for your results.
Exactly. Yeah. You get paid really, really, really well. It's a lot of work. I don't think people get paid too much in real estate. I think that real estate just went, because it is so much work. Some people could say, oh, your commissions are so high, but
you're just getting that commission. You're not getting paid. You could sell one house in a month, so you're getting, I mean, that's still a lot for a month.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's so much work that doesn't get paid. It's like music in that sense. But you can keep doing it. You'll always be able to keep doing it. Music is now, I've realized that you don't have control over what we did. Like, I thought I had complete control, and I have no control over it anymore. So I don't know. I feel like I have control doing this new career. So it'll be interesting to see what has happened, because the money is not quite there. And I can tell you, coming back, some of the offers are lower now too, because everybody's lost. And so there isn't even the income there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think there's a couple things there. Is number one, now that you have that source of income, the steady source of income with real estate, now that you can do music because you love doing music, not because that's your skill, like someone has a hammer, you have your instrument. I think there's something to be said for, like you said, being on stage and being able to just play, instead of thinking like, I have to be here to feed my children.
That's right. It feels really nice. It's a nice place to be. And my whole perspective has changed too. I feel like I now have the choice whether I want to do this or not. Whereas before, I never felt like I had the choice. Because I had gotten so deep into it, I had chosen that thing at 17 that you spoke about, and just went all in. But yeah,
I can see why you're.
I'm not all in anymore.
I can see why you're so excited for the upcoming I, Mother Earth shows after, not being in that realm for the last year and a half or 2 years. And